In Chapter 17X of my FE7 Meh Units Only Ironman, we are challenged by Fargus and his pirate crew to ask the age-old question of, how tough are you? We do this in the only way we know how, by murdering countless men in striped shirts this time. Ooh, we're fancy now. Personally, I think that Fargus is using this challenge as an excuse to kill off crew members so he doesn't have to share his ill-gotten gains. I can respect the hustle, as I have removed close to half of my roster for better units. Like stated in last episode, the combat is very front-loaded, as you are beset by not only a large quantity of pirates, but also a mini-boss paladin from the Black Fang on turn 3. We start off by setting up choke points on the lower half of the map with Oswin asserting dominance with a T-pose, and Hector to guard Merlinus. We also send Dorcas to recruit Canas, a dark magic tome user. And by dark magic, I mean the study of meteorology. He told me the weather would be clear for the foreseeable future, and I'm half tempted to believe him. I was a little concerned when he told me he never saw snow, though. Certainly is just a rare anomaly in this world, and his lack of knowledge on snow will surely cause no problems for him in the future. But anyway, after we recruit Canas, we have Eliwood dispatch the incoming northern pirates. On enemy phase, half of Fargus's crew charges at Oswin, and he proceeds to stand there, menacingly. On turn 2, we clear out Eliwood's pirate and brace for impact on the next turn. 3 pirates rush Oswin, and we have Urk finish off the pirate in front of Oswin to intentionally keep the spot open for the boss paladin. We also leave only Oswin in range of the boss and equip him with a horse slayer he got from Eric on chapter 14. One thing to note about AI in this game is that bosses will always go first before the rest of the units, so you can end up creating favorable positions like this by having them rush headlong into death without their pawns. We have Oswin then kill the boss for his 19th level, and since the boss is now removed, we shield the 2 other paths with Hector and Eliwood, who will have favorable matchups. From here, we slowly clear out the mob that rushes us and then proceed to be handed a devil axe by a nearby villager. A very high damage axe that has the downside of hitting yourself at a rate of 30% minus your luck stat. Guess the villagers gave up on killing us directly and figured we could do it ourselves. This weapon is for all intents and purposes useless, but some enemies do have devil axes and they don't have to worry about reflection damage considering how expendable their units are. You will also notice that I am bringing my units around the top of the map. The reason is that these 6 units at the center are extremely scary as a group. You simply cannot tank all of them in a single turn because of their high levels and strong weapons. One archer and pirate in particular also wield killer weapons that give a strong chance to crit any of our units for massive damage. But there is some cheese you can do to them. The AI on this map will only cause them all to move aggressively toward us if any unit ends their turn beyond or on these lines. So once I have brought everyone up to the top side of the map, I can put units in range of individual enemies and pick them off one by one. During this, we are able to get Oswin to level 20 and Dorcas to level 16, allowing us to use the promotion items at near max efficiency. Hector and Oswin are still struggling to go above 10 speed, but they are both at least getting good resistance level ups, making magic users way less of a threat to them. We close out the rest of the chapter by grabbing a useful sleep staff for Sarah to wield and a short bow, which actually sells for a good amount of money. Then, using our 5th rule of the Ironman, we take this opportunity to level up Canas to level 9 since he was relatively close to the level up, but any fight I take must be committed to, so I cannot back out. I have had 2 runs into this arena before due to Oswin dying getting to level 20 and Hector on a misclick, but I figured the risk was fine as I had invested nothing into Canas. And luckily, he comes out perfectly fine and we're able to complete the chapter and leave. In Chapter 18 of my FE7 Meh Units Only Ironman, Fargus's greed bites us back because he now lacks sufficient crew to stop a large leak in their ship, while we are being boarded by enemy ships. Thanks, Fargus. Thanks a bunch. Luckily, we have a plan. But this ship battle, like many other ship battles in Fire Emblem, caused most veterans some level of grief. For me, it is controlled up to a singular point, and that is the risk I face stealing the guiding ring from the boss on the western ship. You see, the boss wields a powerful Lunatome, and at first the damage seems minuscule, as there is practically no damage coming from the tome itself. But it does have the secondary property of ignoring resistance and having a pretty high crit chance. Most people just steal his guiding ring and use Marcus to pick up Matthew and run away using the Canto skill, as the boss will only attack if you are within 2 tiles of him. We obviously can't do that, as we have no units that can Canto away. And for those that don't understand, Canto is a skill Flyers and Horse units can use after they do any action other than attacking. They can use the remaining movement they have to reposition. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. We got a chapter to clear. Oswin, as usual, will do most of the heavy lifting, charging the western side of the ship to deal with all the shamans and mercenaries clumping up at the center of our boat. Hector positions in a way to minimize the amount of units that can attack him, forcing most to run into the blender that is Oswin. The rest of the units position just out of range of one particular Pegasus Knight, since it has an Elysian Whip. This item is useless for us since it upgrades Flyers to their next promotion, but you can still sell it for a crisp 5,000 gold. We lastly bunch the rest of our crew behind Elowood, Dorcas, and Hector to be ready for follow-up cleaning, giving the Lance Reaver we got from last chapter... I forgot to mention that, didn't I? I am not re-editing that. Get off of my case, Jerry! As I was saying, the Lance Reaver, as the name implies, will allow us to easily dispatch any Pegasus Knight as they all wield lances. We can then steal the Elysian Whip, kill the Pegasus Knight, and continue our daring charge with Oswin, who clears out just about everything, while Hector baits out all the rest of the mercenaries that cannot get to Oswin. I then see an opening to block off reinforcements with Hector by having him block the boarding plank on the eastern ship, and allowing Elowood to take over, holding back mercenaries thanks to his good defense levels. Now that the front-loaded pressure is gone, I can have Hector continue to block the boarding plank and use the rest of my units to clean up stragglers and Pegasus Knights moving in from the south. There are a lot of reinforcements on this map in general, but since we have more space to work with, I can always back units off if the matchups are dicey. And now since we are stabilized, I can trade the Lance Reaver over to Matthew so he can fulfill his mission without dying. Hopefully. We can also do a small amount of shopping just to make sure we are set, but I can assure you we had done plenty of shopping in Chapter 16 and we should be all set. The only thing we want to do now is stockpile some gold for the secret shops in Chapter 20. In desperation, the boss summons a third ship to flood even more mercenaries and shamans toward us from the south. We can hold them back for a time, but I usually just get some experience on the units and kill the boss the following turn with Oswin if I can. Speaking of which, let us see how this goes. As it stands, Matthew can steal the guiding ring, and thanks to Oswin getting enough levels and health, Oswin can at least take the guiding ring from Matthew without dying. All I can do at this point is equip Matthew with a Lance Reaver and pray that he can avoid a 17% crit. And he does it. Let's freaking go! We take whatever experience we can on the rest of the army and kill the boss with Oswin to close out the chapter early, just as Fargus finishes patching up the ship. You're welcome, you scallywag. Now get off my ship.